for our weekly Bhakti Vaibhav class. And today in the second part, we will be having presentations by two devotees, Durga Das Prabhu and one more devotee. So today, in the last week, we discussed from 7th chapter, first 10 verses, wherein Vidura asked two questions. One question is about the Supreme Lord, who is supposed to be Chin Matra, completely transcendental, who is supposed to be without any transformations, Avikarina, and who is supposed to be beyond the influence of three modes of material nature, Nirguna. But still, we see that, we hear that everywhere in the scriptures that everything is done by the Supreme Lord only. He is doing everything. He is creating, he is doing maintenance, he is annihilating everything. So, how can we understand Hare Krishna? Some devotee has to mute. I'm getting my voice back. So, so basically, Vidura is asking that. So, can you kindly clarify the subject matter? Whether Lord is interacting with Maya or not, whether Lord is really creating or not, then who is creating, etc. etc. The second query is if Jiva also has the similar qualities of the Lord, and if Jiva is constantly associated with the Paramatma, who is always accompanying the Jivatma, why his life is becoming Durbhagatvam, Kleshova Karma Bhikuta, and is only the Jiva is only performing activities which only give misery. The Jiva, by its constitutional nature, is supposed to be Sachidananda. And Jiva is always accompanied by the association of Paramatma. In spite of these two, still Jiva goes through continuous misery. What is the reason? So, in answer, 1 second. Mataji, try once again. Class started. So, Maitreya is answering in the 7th verse. He says that same Bhagavato Maya Yannayena Virudyate. Actually, Maya belongs to Lord. Maya is Lord's energy. So, since Maya is Lord's energy, whatever is done by Maya, he said that it is done by the Supreme Lord. Though everything is done by Maya and Lord has no direct connection with it, but still, scripture say that it is Lord is performing. So, though externally Lord is performing actually, but Lord does not interact directly. Lord does not take anxiety of doing all these things. He just empowers the Maya and Maya does everything. The example is given in the purport by Srila Prabhupada and previous acharyas is that the Supreme Lord is like sun. And because of sun, we see the brightness all over throughout the day. And during summer, we see the clouds are forming. And during rainy season, we see that the entire the entire sky is occupied by clouds. Just like today evening from 4:30 onwards, the entire sky is dark. So like that, we see all three kinds of situations in the sky. Complete brightness and clouds are getting formed here and there. We can see some clouds, and in the rainy season, complete darkness. So these three are indicative of three modes of material nature. So similar, though the three modes are functioning and performing so many activities, we are only getting affected, but not the Supreme Lord. Supreme Lord, like the sun, is completely aloof of all these three things. These three things generally happen in relation to the earth, not in relation to sun. Same way, the three modes are activated and they performing so many activities in the material world only by the presence of sun or by the presence of the Supreme Lord. And Supreme Lord has nothing to do with the three modes. He is always beyond the influence of three modes. So that is explained in relation to Supreme Lord. Then from the remaining half of the verse and the next following verses all talk about how Jiva becomes Durbhagatvam. Ishwarasya Vimuktasya. Ishwarasya. Though Jiva is Swatant, independent, is Ishvara, is master of his own self. And Vimuktasya is supposed to be completely liberated always. He is ever liberated. Endowed with Sachidananda features. But Karpanyam Uta Bandhanam. Being bound by the three modes, he becomes Krupana. He is not independent. He becomes subjected to the influence of three modes and he becomes miserable in this material world. Why? What is the reason? Ayad arthena vinamushya. 1 second. Yadarthena vinamushya pumsha atma viparya pratiyata upadrashtu swashiras chedanadika. The reason is yadarthena vinamushya pumsham atma viparya. The jiva in the middle world atma viparya. He is not atma but he is something other than atma. The jiva thought process is always not about atma but about something else. Thinking oneself with the body, thinking oneself with the mind, thinking oneself with the ahankara identity one has with. So like that, because of this, a jiva is bound in this material world by the influence of three modes. So there is the analogy explained. Just like in the night when we sleep, we see a dream. In the dream, we as some other person, our head is being cut and it is being hanged from the pole by the soldiers of a king. So we sleeping on the bed, we actually witnessing everything, that our head being cut. How? Because in the dream or during the dream, we forget who we are. Though our gross body is lying sleep lifelessly and in one sense lifeless in a deep sleep condition on the bed, but within the mind we are actually identifying with the body which is there. If the dream person is a thief, then we think ourselves to be a thief. We have stolen some jewelry from the queen's inner chambers and king becomes very angry and he sentenced us to death. The soldiers caught us and they are cutting our neck and hanging it to the pole. So we actually see, we at the Atma actually witnessing the entire scene. Everything is happening. But we go through the experience because now we have forgotten about our grass body, which is sleeping on the bed. And we are identifying with the grass body of a thief. So that is the reason for our misery. Same way, we have forgotten about our the spiritual body in the spiritual world, and we are identifying currently with our current human body. Because of which, because of the identity, we are going through all the misery. And after this lifetime of 60, 70 years, whatever as per our destiny allows, then when we enter into the next body, we identify with that body. That is like another dream. There we go through all the experiences, good and bad experiences. So this is how this material world is going on. According to Vedic literature, Srimad Bhagavatam, this theme comes many times. Our existence in this material world is like that of a dream. During the dream, we identify with the dream body. Currently, we are identifying with our human body. Both are dreams only. That is short dream, is a long dream. That is the only difference. So, because of which, we actually go through misery. That is mentioned in this analogy. But I mean, how to understand that? Okay, but we are actually sleeping on the bed. The dream body is created by the dream body is going through misery. Why will experience the miseries? Then it is further explained in the next verse with better explanation, with better analogy, which we can relate to. Yata jale chandramasha kampadin satkruto guna drishyate asan api drashtur atmano anatmano guna. Atmano, though we are made up of Atma, we see ourselves Anatma. We never see ourselves as Atma. We always see with ourselves as our gross body, our subtle body, our mind, intelligence, our ego. If we get good grades in the school or college, we boast as if we are the best of the intelligence in the entire universe. And there is no one as intelligent as me in the world. So we identify with our intelligence. And if we are born in a royal family, in aristocratic family, we always speak about ourselves. I'm hailed from the so and so royal family, so and so royal dynasty, like that. We always give, prominence to our identity with respect to our gross body or subtle body. That is the reason for our miseries in this world. Actually, the miseries belongs to gross body or subtle body because we identify the gross body or subtle body, so we think we are going through the miseries. The example is the moon is Paramatma. All the unlimited rays emanating from the moon is all Jivatmas. That is plural. There are many rays, so many Jivatmas. So then, in the night, on the full moon night, there is a water lake. So the moon's reflection will be seen in the water. So the understanding is, when somebody asks, so where from this reflection is coming? For any common person, they will say that because moon is there in the sky, the reflection is there in the water. But if you have little bit introspection, if you do little bit logic, if you use, the reflection is not because of the moon that is there in the sky. The reflection is because of the rays that are coming from the moon all the way up to the surface of the water. If you block the rays, if you block the moon rays which are coming down, you can't see any moon's reflection in the water. The reflection is due to the moon rays which are coming down from the moon. So whatever reflection we see in the water is nothing but it gets an identity because of the it gets the identity of the rays due to the water. If it is falling on the water, it gets a particular identity. If it is falling on the earth, it will get different identity like that. Because water becomes a particular transparent medium and mirror-like thing, so we can see the reflection very clearly. So now it goes for a step further. But if the same water is actually vibrating, the pool is actually vibrating because of some wind or because somebody is playing, somebody is swimming or etc., we see the reflection is being vibrated. And in general person, they say that hey, moon is vibrating. The moon is kind of vibrating. That's why we see the vibration in the water. But in reality, neither the moon nor the moon rays are vibrating. The moon is stable. The moon rays are straight coming down to the surface of the water. Because the water is vibrating, we see the reflection is vibrating. The moon rays reflection going through all the turbulence of the water, because we are seeing the moon's reflection as the moon rays reflection only by the presence of water. If there is no water, we can't see the reflection, because water is going through ripples and turbulence. We see the reflection also going through turbulence. So that is how, as long as we identify with a particular body, grass and subtle together, whatever miseries are there in the grass body or subtle body, we always see ourselves going through those miseries. But Atma per se is not at all touched by the miseries of grass body or subtle body. Simple understanding is, both the grass body and subtle body are made up of three modes of material nature. Atma is made up of transcendence. It is nirguna. So a nirguna substance cannot have the experience of a guni vastu. So because we are identifying ourselves with guni, the object made up of three gunas, so we go through all the emotions of the three gunas. That's why it is said in the last line, Atmano, Anatmano guna. That Anatmano substance, which is actually made up of three modes, we are actually identifying with that. That's why we go through all the experience of Anatmano body as our self. So that is the understanding here. This is also mentioned, if you all remember, all of you when you were doing presentations, if you have studied through 7th chapter of the first canto, verse number 6, 7, 8 or 5, 6, 7, there Vyasdeva was compiling Srimad Bhagavatam. So in first verse it is stated that Bhakti Yoge Namanasi Samyak Pranite Amale Apashyat Purusham Purnam Mayam Cha Tadapashrayam. So in his meditation, Vyasdeva saw the Supreme Lord along with the spiritual world and all the associates, and also he saw Maya, who was standing behind Lord Krishna, turning her face away from Lord Krishna. Like both of them are standing back to back. So then, why Vyasdeva is seeing that Maya? So under that Maya, under the shelter of that Maya, he has seen something more. What is that? Eya sammohito jiva atmanam trigunatmakam karopi manute nadatam tatkrutam chapipadyate. Eya sammohito jiva, being bewildered by that Maya, who is standing behind Krishna and turning her face away from Krishna, being bewildered by her, what jivas think? Atmanam trigunatmakam. They think that they are made up of the 24 elements of Maya. Atmanam trigunatmakam. They think their self is a byproduct of three modes of material nature. And with that understanding, with that identity, Paro api manute anartham. Paro api, though they are transcendental to three modes of material nature, nature, still they think they are a product of three modes, and they perform all the variety of activities according to their varna and ashram, according to their liking and disliking, whatever it is. That kind of doing all the activities bind them in this material world. So this is actually anartham. It is meaningless. This kind of identity is actually meaningless, but still we give highest regard to that particular identity. And then Vyasadeva says in the next verse, Anartha Upashamanam Sakshat. This is a big anartha for us. So in order to alleviate this anartha from our consciousness, Bhakti Yogam Adokshaja. There is only one means is Bhakti Yoga unto Lord Krishna, Adokshaja. So in order to teach us how to perform Bhakti unto Adokshaja, Srila Vyasadeva wrote Bhagavatam. Lokasya ajanato viddam chakkare shashvata samhita. Because people of this world, they don't know about this prasa Bhakti Yoga, which is supposed to perform unto Lord Adokshaja. Srila Vyasadeva compiled Bhagavatam talking about how to execute this Bhakti Yoga. So that is the understanding. This comes again and again. If you remember second canto, 9th chapter, Lord Brahma asks various questions in relation to that. Lord Narayana speaks Shloki Bhagavatam as an answer to all the questions asked by Parikshit Maharaj in the 8th chapter. So in the 9th chapter, in the 10th chapter at the beginning, in the 9th chapter at the very beginning, first 3 verses, if you see, the same meaning is explained. Whatever we see here, the same question, the same answers were answered by Sukadeva Goswami in the first 3 verses of the 9th chapter. Something similar question only. Why Jiva goes through misery? Though Jiva is supposed to be transcendental to 3 modes, why Jiva going through misery in this material world? Because Sukadeva Goswami said that Jiva actually does not go through miseries. Jiva identifying with the material body like a person identifies the dream body. So as long as the dream is there, misery will be there. Only when one gets up from the dream, then there will be no misery. So how I can get up from dream? By performing bhakti. Only when one performs bhakti, one can come out of the dream situation. So that is being mentioned in the next verse also, which was mentioned in the second canto 9th chapter 3rd verse, is again mentioned with a little bit more elaboration in the next 3 verses, 12, 13, 14. What is the remedy for our situation in this material world? The solution for coming out of this material bondage and miserable condition. So is it clear? Last week all of you are having doubt whether dreams are real or not, dreams exist or not. So any queries? Please, if you have some queries, please. Any queries?
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, I have understood this moon analogy properly. Only thing when you were explaining currently that Hare Krishna, my voice is coming, Prabhuji.
Yeah, yes. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So you explained that rays are the jivas, right? Means
Yes.
moon rays are the jivas, and if those rays are obstructed by any object, and if they cannot fall on the water surface, then there will be no reflection of the moon in that.
Yes.
So I didn't understand that how we take that to the current our situation, like means we are the jivas like moon rays. So if we are obstructed, means I didn't get how to apply that analogy in the current situation.
So I mean to say that I explained that because when you see a reflection in the water, see a reflection of the moon in the water, for any common person, if you ask, so a reflection कहाँ से आ रहा है, a reflection कैसे आ रहा है, they will tell it is coming from the moon. The moon is above and reflection is below. As long as moon is there above, reflection will come below.
Yeah.
So then I said, no, it is, if you, for more logical understanding, it is not only because the moon is there in the sky, it is because the rays that are coming to the surface of the water. If there are no rays coming to the surface of the water, then there will be no reflection in the water. By putting something in between, we can stop that moon's reflection in the water. So this is just to explain the concept of the rays, because generally we have this moon is there and reflection is coming here, but here the understanding is all about the rays. So just to give that idea, I mentioned it like that.
Okay, means if the jivas, there is some obstruction, then jivas may not see themselves or may not identify with the material nature. That's what we mean by that.
No, not like that. That is not the extent, the intention. Intention is tell that in order to bring out the role of the race, I mentioned it. It has nothing to do with Jiva's identity or connection. This
Okay,
is
fine then.
purely some practical understanding.
Okay, Prabhuji, fine. Thank you, Prabhu.
So, anyone? So, because if you remember, the moon is Paramatma, the rays are the Jivatma. If somebody says that reflection is coming from the moon, then the reflection is Paramatma. So, this is how the Mayavadis take this understanding. They generally say that. So, in the water body, whatever reflection you see is actually directly coming from Paramatma. So, Jiva Paramatma not different, they are all same. We are thinking we are separate from Paramatma because of illusion. So this is a big theory in the Mayavada philosophy. So but our Vaishnava Acharyas always try to keep it away. So they always give proper understanding. So in that sense. So it is all reflection is because of the rays only, not because of the moon. See, I mean, the same, if you extend more, so few reflections, few rays which are coming to that particular place, and there are some more rays which are falling in another nearby pond. There you can see another reflection of the moon. So like that, there can be many reflections of the moon in many water bodies. So like that we can see.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So I think if there are no queries from others, we'll go ahead. Savai nivritti dharmena Vasudevanukampaya Bhagavad Bhakti Yogena Tirodatte Shanairiha.
But that misconception of self-identity can be diminished gradually by the mercy of the personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, through the process of devotional service to the Lord in the mode of detachment.
Yeah, the solution to get rid of our false identity and also our miserable existence in this material world is Vasudeva Anukampaya, by the causeless mercy of Lord Vasudeva. How can we attract the causeless mercy of Lord Vasudeva? Bhagavad Bhakti Yogena, by executing Bhakti Yoga. By executing Bhakti Yoga, we can attract the causeless mercy of Lord Vasudeva, by which is generally manifested through the medium of devotees, our Shiksha Gurus and Diksha Gurus. They become the transparent via medium of Lord's mercy. Through them, we will actually get Lord's mercy. So by that mercy, Tirodatte Shanairiha. In this material world, gradually Shanair means Shanai. Dire dire, we will come back to our natural condition. So, if you see the translation, Prabhupada only highlights about bhakti, but Srila Vaishnava talks about Nivritti Dharmena. Here, Nivritti Dharma is actually about jnana. Pravritti Dharma is generally talked about in the Bhagavatam as karma. Nivritti Dharma is jnana. So, either by practice of Bhakti Mishra Jnana or by practice of Bhakti alone, we can actually gradually can get rid of this misidentification and also the miserable condition in this material world. So these are the two ways of solution, because everyone will not practice bhakti. There are some people who are interested in practicing jnana also after performing nishkama. Acharyas give the possible getting exit from this material world for both. This Bhakti Mishra, generally they get Sayuja Mukti and devotees get Salokya and Sarishti Sarupya Muktis. But both are okay. So in that sense, so it is being indicated. So having mentioned that either by Bhakti Mishra Jnana or by pure Bhakti, one can get one's Swarupa back. So then how that happens? So I understand that by practicing bhakti and by practicing jnana, bhakti mishra jnana, I will get rid of this material condition. So that is kind of elaborate in the next verse. So this is the kind of last verse for the answer that was given by Maitreya Rishi. So this gives complete overall picture. Yedendriyoparamota drishtatmani pare haro viliyante tada klesha samsupta sheva krishnasha.
When the senses are satisfied in the sphere super soul, the personality of Godhead and merge in Him, all the mysteries are completely vanquished as after a sound sleep.
Yeah, sound sleep. Everyone is eagerly anticipating to have. So it is mentioned here. Yada indriya uparamo ata drishta atmani pare. So viliyante tada klesha samtuchapteva Krishna. So we have three states of existence: Jagruta, Swapna, and Sushupti. So here samsuptasta is like Sushupti state, deep sleep. Swapna is we are sleeping, but the whole night we are constantly getting so many dreams. So when you get up in the morning, you are still tired. You are not kind of recuperated. So, but other thing, throughout the day we are awake. Like the three states of existence we have in this material world. So, yada indriya uparamo ata drishta atmani pareharau. When we engage all our 14 senses, the 5 jnanendriyas, 5 karmendriyas, 4 antakaranas, in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is He? He is Drishta. He is our witness. He is Atmani. He is our Paramatma. And He is Pare Harau. He is Lord Hari, who is situated himself in the Paravyoma. He is situated in the spiritual world, which is beyond the influence of 3 modes of material nature. When we engage all our 14 senses in the service of the Supreme Lord, then the next line talks about the Supreme Lord. He is Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Viliyante tada klesha. All the kleshas that we are going through in this material world, they are all completely destroyed. Viliya means pralaya, destruction. How? When all the kleshas are destroyed, what will be our situation? Our situation is like that of we are completely situated in deep sleep. Throughout the day, we may go through so many bad experiences, good experiences, so many bad emotions, good emotions, etc. etc. But in the night, when we go to bed, we are still thinking about our emotions. But when we enter into deep sleep, we actually forget everything. We actually forget who we are. What are the miseries that we go throughout the day? So that will be the situation. And when all our miseries are completely wiped out by the execution of bhakti, our situation is like that of a deep sleep. So in our normal surrounding, in the cities and villages, since our life is filled with so many miseries, in order to forget these miseries, people generally become addicted to alcohol or wine, etc. They think that by drinking wine, they can they get 2 benefits. One is they forget miseries and they get bliss. And apparently it appears that they are getting some kind of so-called bliss. But when you get up next day morning, the old miseries will be there as it is, and there will be new misery because of the hangover. So, and eventually, when they continue to consume alcohol, they become addicted to alcohol. They become alcoholics, and it becomes very difficult to come out of that. Already there are some problems, but because of the alcohol, there will be many more problems. Problems with respect to one's own body and mind, problems with respect to the family members. They keep fighting. If somebody becomes alcoholic in the family. So like that, the example is given here. But so the same verse when we see from the point of view of Jnana, Bhakti Mishra Jnana, as they are mentioned in the previous verse, Nivruti Dharmena. How this verse explained in relation to Nivruti Dharma about about those who practice jnana, Bhakti Mishra Jnana. So it is said that though a person throughout the day may be going through so many miseries, physical miseries or practical miseries, whatever it is, but eventually by the practice of jnana, strong jnana, which has Sankhya Yoga as its basis, wherein it is taught that you are not earth, you are not water, you are not fire, you are not sky, you are not ether, you are not jnanendriyas, you are not karmendriyas, you are not mind, you are not intelligence, you are not ahankara, you are not chetan, like that. It is basically neti neti, you are not this, you are not this, you are not this. Like that, they keep on hearing by hearing by hearing. Eventually, they don't identify with any of these 24 elements. They come to a point that I am Atma, I am nothing to do with these 24 elements. I am nothing to do with the problems associated with 24 elements. I am Brahman, Aham Brahmosmi. This is their final understanding. When they come to this platform, even though there may be so many miseries because of these 24 elements, because of the gross body or subtle body, they don't become disturbed with all those things. That means for them, though the 24 elements are there in the body, but they are not there, they are already died. Praliyanti or Viliyante, they are already destroyed. So it is like a person who goes through all the miseries in the daytime, but in the night when he goes to deep sleep, he forgets all the miseries. Though the miseries are there, next day morning he will come to know, but in the midnight, when he is in deep sleep, he forgets them. That is because in the deep sleep, one does not identify with the body, either gross body or subtle body. This is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. If you remember this verse from chapter 4, one of the last verses, which says that the senses are superior to gross body, the mind is superior to senses, the Chetana is superior to mind, and Atma is superior to Chetana. Evam Buddha Param Buddha Sabhyatmana Atmana. So Jahi Chaturum Mahabaho Kamurupam Durashadam. So how to conquer lust? I think this is third chapter, one of the last verses. Last bottom verse. So in that that there it is mentioned that what is superior. So there in the purport it is mentioned that by Acharyas, in the daytime our senses are active, mind is active, Chetana is active, Atma is active. In the night time when we sleep, in the dreamy situation, our gross body is sleeping, our Jnanendriyas and Karmendriyas are sleeping, but our mind, intelligence, Ahankara are active. They identify with a gross body in the dream. Whatever gross body we get in the dream, the subtle body identifies with that. That means mind is active, intelligence is active, Ahankara is active during dreamy situation, Sapna situation. But in deep sleep, the mind, intelligence and Ahankara, three of them go to rest. They don't perform. They don't do any activity. They become inactive. So what is active at that time? Only Chetana. There in that verse, Buddhi indicates Chetana. Only Chetana is active. That means one is aware that I am existing. I am a person, I am alive. That kind of awareness will be there for the person in the deep sleep. Nothing more than that. He does not identify himself to be Pavaneshwar Das, a brahmachari in Chopar temple, born and brought up in Andhra Pradesh. That kind of thinking will not be there during deep sleep. So that means one actually forgotten the five Panchamahabhutas with which the body is made. The Jnanendriyas, Karmendriyas, Man, Buddhi, Ahankara. ऐसा 23 को भूल गया पूरा. Only 24th one is there. That is called deep sleep condition. So that is what is the result of Bhakti Mishra Jnana. One actually completely forgets the 23 elements. One identifies oneself with Atma. One thinks Aham Brahmasmi. In relation to Nivrutti, then in relation to what are the previous verse? Bhagavad Bhakti Yogena. For those who practice Bhagavad Bhakti, for them how it is, what they will do. This verse, if you remember, Nectar of Devotion, this is one of the important verses at the beginning. Sarvopade Vinurmuktam Tatparatvena Sevanam Tatparatvena Nirmalam Rishikena Sevanam Bhakti Ruchate. Forgetting our temporary identities in this material world according to our Varna and Ashrama, engaging our entire mind, body, and everything that we have in the service of the Supreme Lord. Rishikena Rishikesh Sevanam. Using our 14 senses in the service of the Lord, Rishikesha, Lord of the senses. Then, when all the senses are engaged in the Supreme Lord, Lord accepts them. And Lord will never allow that we will go through material miseries in this material world. Lord will take the complete responsibility as he promises in the Bhagavad Gita, Yogakshimam Vahamyam. Ananya Chintayantumam Yejana Paryupaste Tesham Tanam Yogakshimam Vahamyam. So Lord takes complete responsibility. Apparently, externally devotees may go through some sickness and all these problems are there. But ultimately, result is, after this lifetime is over, they will go back to God. They are permanently situated in the transcendental position. So it's that. So since 24 elements are engaged in Lord's service, a person will never identify oneself with the identity of the 24 elements. Instead, one identified with, I am devotee of Lord Krishna. I am Krishna Bhakta. I am so-called Das. I am so-called Dasi. Only that identity will remain. So thus, one can become freed from all the miseries. So that is how this verse is explained in relation to the practitioners of Jnani, Nivritta Dharma, and the practitioners of Bhagavad Bhakti. So, but then the question comes, but okay, though two options are there, but which one you want me to practice? So Maitreya says, out of these two, Bhakti is very simple and easy. So please practice Bhakti. Then the question comes, how should I practice Bhakti? That is mentioned in the next verse. Ashesha Sanklesha Shemam Vidatte Gunanuvada Shravanam Murare Kim va punasta charanara vinda paraga seva ratiratma labdha.
Simply by chanting and hearing of the transcendental name, forms, etc. of the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, one can achieve the cessation of unlimited miserable conditions. Therefore, what to speak of those who have attained attraction for serving the flavor of the dust of the Lord's lotus feet?
Yeah. Here talks about the glories of Bhakti. This verse talks about glories of Bhakti. Ashesha Sanklesha Shemam Vidatte. Ashesha Sanklesha. Klesha means misery. Sanklesha means all the variety of miseries. Ashesha, without any remnant. Shemam means they are completely wiped off. How they can be completely wiped off? Gunanuvada Shravanam Murare. When we engage all our 14 senses in the service of Supreme Lord, but since in one verse we cannot talk about the activity of all the 14 senses, Maitreya Muni talks about the activities of two senses. One is Guna Anuvada, describing the activities or qualities of Supreme Lord through our mouth, the Karmendriya known as mouth, and also by doing Shravanam, the activity of our ears, Jnanendriya. It takes one example of Jnanendriya, one example of Karmendriya. But about whom we should hear, about whose qualities we have to describe? Murari. So when we hear or when we describe the wonderful qualities, activities, form and attributes of the Supreme Lord, Murari, all the miseries, Ashesha Sanklesha Shemam Vidatte, everything will be completely wiped up. That is possible. So Acharya says that this is what is called as Sadhana Bhakti. Even by executing Sadhana Bhakti, by engaging all our 14 senses in the service of the Supreme Lord, as Lord Krishna indicates in Bhagavad Gita that Yat karoshi yadashnashi yadjoshi tadashi yat tapashit kaunteya tatkurusho madarpanam. Whatever we do with our body and mind and senses, do it as an offering to me. That becomes our Sadhana Bhakti. So that Sadhana Bhakti is the result of removing or wiping out of all our material miseries due to our material. That Kimva Punas, then what to speak of? By what? Ratir. Those who execute Bhakti at the stage of Rati. Here Rati means Bhava. Those who execute Bhakti on the platform of Bhava or intense attachment, eagerness, like Raganuga Bhakti, then what kind of result will come to them? Kimva Punastat Charanaravinda Paraga Seva Ratir. With Rati, with intense attraction towards Lord's lotus feet, with a desire to serve the dust of Lord's lotus feet. What they will get? They will get Atma Labdha. They will get the Supreme Personality of Godhead at their possession. So by performing sadhana bhakti, one's miseries may be removed. But if one performs bhava bhakti or raga bhakti, they will actually get the Supreme Lord as an object of their whatever we can say, object of their control or whatever. The Lord becomes their subservient. Atma Labdhati or Atma refers to the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord will become their surrendered object. That will be the benefit of Bhava Bhakti or Bhakti performed on the platform of Rati, Raganuga platform. So this is how Maitreya Muni indicates that. So getting free from the results, I mean miseries of this material world is not the goal of Bhakti. The actual goal, what Bhakti can avoid is Atma Labdha. Bhakti can bring the Supreme Lord under the control of devotee when they execute Raga Bhakti or Bhakti on the Rati platform. So that is how it indicates. But this particular benefit cannot be possible by Nivruta Dharmena. By Nivruta Dharma, by Bhakti Mishra Jnana, at most one can be freed from all miseries and one can realize oneself to be Atma, like a deep sleep, forgetting with the body, forgetting about the gross body and subtle body. But experiencing bliss or experiencing the constant association of Supreme Lord is possible only by Rati or Bhava Bhakti or Raganuga Bhakti. So this is how Maitreya Muni indicates that the result obtained by Bhakti are incomparable to the results obtained by Bhakti Mishra Jnana. So this is how Maitreya Muni actually kind of presents his answers very briefly, instead of getting into so many details. Very briefly, very succinctly, in 4-5 verses, he answered and gave solution also. Now in the next 3-4 verses, Vidura actually repeats what he had understood, having heard from Maitreya, just to reconfirm with Maitreya that I have understood correctly or not. Or Maitreya is asking, have you understood? So Vidura, in order to tell that, yes, my dear master, I have understood. This is my understanding. Like that, Vidura repeats whatever he understood. Vidura uvacha Sanchinna samshayo mayyam tava suktasina vibho ubayatrapi bhagavan mano me sampradavati.
Vidura said, O powerful sage, my lord, all my doubts about the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the living entities have now been removed by your convincing words. My mind is now perfectly entering into them.
Yeah. So Sanchinna samshayo mayam. Whatever doubts I had, they were all come. How? Tava suktasina vibho. Sukta means suvukta, very nicely spoken words. And these words are like asina. Asina means knife. So just like a knife cuts all the vegetables into small pieces, like that, your words like a knife have cut all my doubts into pieces. All my doubts about what? Ubayatrapi, Bhagavan. About both Bhagavan, about both the Supreme Personality of Godhead's interaction with the three modes of material nature and about Jiva's misery. So both were clarified by your wonderfully spoken words. Mano me sampradavati, and my mind became peaceful, happy and satisfied. So in that sense. Then further, now we say that, okay, what you understood, by understanding what? Your doubt have been removed and your mind became peaceful. Vidura says, Sadveta dvyahrutam vidvan natmamayayanam hare abati apartam nirmulam vishwamulam nayadbahi.
O learned sage, your explanations are very good as they should be. Disturbances to the conditioned soul have no other basis than the movement of the external energy of the Lord.
So, in this one verse, my Vidura actually combines both the answers. Sadhu etad vyahrutam vidvan. Vidvan, who highly intellectual one, highly knowledgeable personality. Vyahrutam, whatever you have spoken, everything is very nice. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Whatever words you have spoken in order to clarify my doubts, they are all very nice. What is so nice about those words? Natma Maya Ayanam Hare Abati. Abati is a word comes from Bhava. Bhava means to take birth, to come into being, to come into existence. Abati means no existence in that sense. So what is that no as no existence? Atma Maya Ayanam Hare. What is material energy? Material energy is Lord Hari's Atma Maya. Maya is also one of the energies of Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, the external energy, which is also known as Mahamaya, is also one of Lord's energy. So, what? Lord's energy is kya? Says that Atma Maya Ayanam, the activities that are performed by Atma Maya, all the activities that are performed by Mahamaya, which is one of Lord's energies. If you remember Ramayanam, Rama Ayanam, one of the meaning of Ramayana is the wandering of Lord Rama. What all he performed in his life, that is Ramayana. So Ayanam means one journey, one's life journey. So in that sense. So what is the journey of Maya, which actually belongs to Supreme Lord? Abati. It has no connection with the Supreme Lord. It is all journey of Maya only. It is not the journey, Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, since Maya is Lord's energy, whatever that is performed by Maya, the Vedanta says that it is the activity of the Supreme Lord. But actually, activity is performed by Maya only. It is Maya Ayanam. It is Maya's journey. These are all Maya's activities. But Maya is Lord's energy. It is that Lord is the cause of all these activities. But actually, Lord is Abati. Nothing takes place from the Lord directly. Everything is actually done by Maya only. With respect to Lord, it is Abati. But with respect to Maya, it is Bhati. So in that sense, we have to understand. So whatever activities Maya performs, whatever life or whatever journey of Maya Devi, it is all performed by her only. But since she is Lord's energy, Lord's doership is being indicated in the verses of Vedic literature. Just like Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Maya Dekshena Prakriti Suyate Sa Characharam. So all the activities of all the living entities in this material world, Chara and Achara, they are all performed by Maya under my supervision. So like that way we can understand. And it is not only Abati, it is Apartham. It is without any Artham. Artham means, one meaning of Artham is meaning, one meaning of Artham is wealth, but another meaning of Artham is it has no goal to achieve. Artha means something to be earned, objective or something like that. So it has no purpose. Lord has no purpose to do all these activities. Lord has no purpose to achieve by doing all these things. Maya ko bol diya karo aapko jo karna hai karo. He empowered Maya and Maya is doing all these things. And Lord does not have nothing to gain all these things. And Nirmulam. Here Nirmula means there is no cause for all these things for Lord to perform. Just like if you remember in the previous class we discussed that when children want to play, there are two motivations. One is whether they want to play or their friends are instigating them to play. One of these two. So Apartha means Lord does not want to do anything. From his own sense, he does not want to, he is self-satisfied. So he has nothing to gain some satisfaction from doing the creation, maintenance and annihilation. So that is for himself. And Nirmula means there is no other secondary cause who is actually instigating Lord, who is telling Lord, hey, create karo, create karo, create karo. ऐसा कोई नहीं बोल रहे. So there is no other cause for Lord to create the material universes. They are all actually performed by Maya only. Thus, Lord has nothing to do with this material world in one sense. Everything is done by Maya. Lord is simply a witness. So in that way, Vishwamulam na yad bahi. For the creation of the universe, maintenance of the universe, and annihilation of the universe, there is no second reason other than the Maya itself. Vishwamulam, the root of the Vishwa, na yad bahi, there is no one outside. Wow, who is the reason? Maya only, Atma Maya. Lord's Maya alone is the actual cause of creation, maintenance, and annihilation. You remember any verse from Brahma Samhita which explains that Maya is the cause of creation, maintenance, and annihilation? Hare Krishna, anyone remember any verse from Brahma Samhita? Singer.
Maya hi yasya jagat.
ब्रह्म संहिता
माया ही
ओनली बट स्टार्ट शुरू से बोलेगा तो पता चलेगा. सृष्टि स्थिति सृष्टि स्थिति प्रलय साधन शक्ति रेखा चायेव यस्य भुवर्ति दुर्गा. बस इतना तो हो गया, काफी है. So like that is how it is explained here. Srishti Sthiti and Pralaya, they are actually happening by Maya only. Lord is only emperor. He only empowers. He has nothing to do with, nothing to gain or nothing to, no one is instigating him to do all these things. So this is my understanding in relation to Supreme Lord. And in relation to Jiva, Atma, Maya, Atma Ayanam, Maya Hare. The journey of Atma, the journey of the convert under the supervision of Maya. Who is under the supervision of Hari? Maya is under the supervision of Hari, and our journey, Atma Ayanam, Mera journey, Aapka journey, Sabka journey is under the supervision of Maya, under the control of Maya. And that journey also has no connection with Atma. In relation to Atma, it is Abhati. The journey is not Atma's journey. The journey is about grass body and subtle body journey. The mind only has the desire. Today evening we had dosa in the temple. So some devotee's mind may say that let me have today 4 dosas. Devotee's mind may say that let me have 5 dosas, 6 dosas, like that. So they will have. Mind says, so the hands and mouth cooperate. Atma to witness hai. Atma to drushta hai. He is witness simply. So this is all our journey of our grass body and subtle body. Our moving from human body to some other devata body or the devata body to some other sura body, and here and there are also the journey of grass body and subtle body. Atma se kuch lena dena nahi. So it's like that. Atma, for Atma it is Abhati. And does Atma has to gain something from this? Nothing to gain, apartam. And is who is instigating all these things? No one knows. No one knows where from the desire is coming. Let me have 4 dosas, 5 dosas. It comes. Atma does not desire. Atma does not say that aaj 5 dosa khana padega. Yeah, our past experiences will instigate that. Maybe in the last month we had dosas, and those dosas were very good. And mind says, last month aapne khaya tha, bahut acha tha, aaj maza lo. If the dosas in the last month they would have been very bad, and mind would say immediately, last time they are very bad. Thoda pehle check lo, taste check lo, baad mein kha lo. Don't take 2 dosas in your plate directly. Pehle ek chota sa piece le lo, check karo, acha hai to aur thoda le lo. So who is telling? Our mind, which is the store of all the experiences. Okay, Hare Krishna. Clear?
That means Prabhuji, seat of desire is mind, right? Have I
Yes,
understood?
yes. Seat of desire, na? The mind is the store of the all our past experiences, whether good or bad. So past experience mind में है, whenever we see some object, so mind correlates with the past experiences. Then mind says, अभी ये पहले आपने लिया था अच्छा था, अभी ले लो वापस. पहले ये लिया था बुरा था, don't take it once again. That
So
kind
the-
of desires will be expressed by mind.
So part of intelligence also will come in that to analyze the thing.
Intelligence makes all the plans. अभी चार दोष लेने तो कि कहाँ पे बैठने का. So what is the strategic position to sit so that you can get char doshas? Otherwise, if you sit in the last in the line, the last if you sit, you may end up getting one or two only. By then, all the doshas will be over. So my intelligence will make plans. So like that.
Okay, friend. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm giving a crude example because just now we had doshas here. So in that way. So this is the understanding of Vidura. And he continues further. Yascha mudatamo loko, yascha mudatamo loke, yascha buddhe paramgata.
Both the lowest of the force. So Vidura is actually expressing his humility. In one sense, he's telling that Yascha mudatamo loke. Those people who are grossly foolish in this material world, who have nothing to do with Vedic culture, Vedic instructions, and other things. Their only interest is how to enjoy more and more sense gratification. And at the same time, they are indifferent to physical miseries. In spite of having fever, still they want to have a feast. That kind of condition in the sense. So they are all happy because they are, even though in spite of going through misery, they are not identifying misery. Misery है तो लोग का नियम है, वो रहने दो. But life का गोल है enjoy करना. जितना हो सकता है उतना enjoy करना. रात को जितना पिएंगे, जितना खाएंगे, अगला दिन सुबह वॉमिटिंग होने दो, चलेगा, वो होता रहेगा. But फिर भी मैं अगला दिन जाके वापस खाऊंगा, वापस पीऊंगा. That kind of person. And यच्च बुद्धे परम गता. जिनका बुद्धि ट्रांसेंडेंस में है, वो स्पिरिचुअल धाम चले गए ऑलरेडी. भले पर्सन यहाँ पे है, बट उनका बुद्धि आध्यात्मिक जगत में है. ये दोनों लोग हमेशा हैप्पी रहते. बट क्लिश्यति अंतरितो जना. बट दोज पीपल हु आर इन द मिडिल, हु आर ट्राइंग टू एग्जामिन, ये मिजरी कहाँ से आ रहा है, क्यों आ रहा है, मुझे क्यों मिजरी आ रहा है, इनको क्यों नहीं आ रहा है, उनको क्यों आ रहा है. Those who are trying to examine, those who are trying to understand how misery is coming, how to get rid of the misery, what to do, what not to do, such kind of people are suffering in their inquiry, in their endeavor to get out of the misery. And Vidura is telling that I am a person in the middle. Till now I was in a miserable condition, but I can also get rid of this misery by one thing. By what? By taking shelter of whose buddhi, that person whose buddhi is in the spiritual world. Because he is already in bliss. If I take shelter of that kind of person, I can also experience same bliss. Then in the next verse, he talks about taking shelter of a spiritual master. Arthabhavam vinischitya pratitasyapi natmana tam chapi yusmakcharana sevayaham paranude.
But okay, you read.
But my dear sir, I am obliged to you because now I can understand that this material manifestation is without substance. Although it appears real, I am confident that by serving your feet, it will be possible for me to give up the false idea.
Artha abhavam vinischitya pratitasyapi na atmana. So in reality, Atma never loses its transcendental qualities, Satchidananda features. It is only a kind of dreamy situation. Because we are identifying with the dream, we are going through the situation called as loss of true knowledge. loss of our true identity, who we really are. Because we forgetting our true identity, we are identifying with the dream body. When we are sleeping and getting dream, we forget who we are sleeping on the bed, but we identify with the dream person. Artha bhavam vinichitya pratasyapi natmana. But that condition can be removed by taking shelter of the lotus feet of a personality like you. Tam chapi yusmak charana sevayaham paranude. Sevayaham. By serving your lotus feet, I can get rid of this kind of condition. Anatma condition I can get rid of. So only by taking shelter of your lotus feet, now my doubts are clear. So by taking shelter of your lotus feet further, I can also experience the transcendental bliss which you are experiencing. Like that, with Dura actually talking about the importance of taking shelter of a spiritual master. So in that, any queries?
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Which I just wanted to know, like before one or two verses also, you said that all the agitation happens because of the three modes of material nature, which is also external energy of the Lord. And therefore, because we identify with the gross and the subtle body, we get agitated. Correct?
Yes.
But what is the connection of our karma of past lives and the agitations of the modes here? Because most of the time, whatever miseries we are facing in this world, primary reason could be the karma also, no? So how do you relate those two?
No, of course. See, our identity with our gross body, cell body, they lead to performing various activities, and those activities will result in our future karma in the form of prarabdha karma, etc. They are all interconnected. I am not getting into details, but they are all interconnected. Our karma is because of identity. Our identity is due to our gross body and subtle body. Because I am taking birth in a, for example, if I take birth in a Brahmana family, I perform Brahmana activities. But in the Brahmana activities, some activities can be pious, some activities sin. So like that, various things are there based on my desire I perform. So these are all interconnected. Our karma, they are all interconnected. So we cannot distinguish them. We cannot separate them. So in that.
Also, sorry, yeah.
A lot of noise is coming. Yeah. See here, because of our past karma, we have always some kind of peculiar desires, because of which we perform activities in one of the three modes. That creates new karma. One after the other, they're all completely interconnected. We cannot distinguish them.
Okay, Prabhuji, fine.
Okay. So we'll just quickly go through the next two verses and then we'll stop for today because these two are interconnected to the previous discussion. Yassevaya bhagavata kota sasyama dudvisha pratiraso bhavet tivra padayorvyasanardana.
By serving the feet of the spiritual master, one is enabled to develop transcendental ecstasy in the service of the personality of Godhead, who is the unchangeable enemy of the Madhu demon and whose service vanquishes one's material distresses.
So here he is telling that is understanding of 14th verse. Yassevaya bhagavata kota sasyama dudvisha. By serving the lotus feet of the devotees who are firmly taken shelter of Lord's lotus feet. By serving them, by serving their lotus feet, by executing sadhana bhakti, by their mercy, which is nothing but Lord's mercy coming through them, leads to us come to the platform of Rati. Rati raso bhavet tivra. We come to the state of performance of tivra bhakti. Tivrena bhakti yogena यजता पुरुषम परा. If you remember this verse, कहाँ पे आया था? अकामा सर्वकामो व मोक्षकामो उदारदि तीव्रेण भक्ति योगेन यजता पुरुषम परा. The तीव्र bhakti is actually indicative of bhakti performed on the platform of rati, bhava bhakti or raganuga bhakti. So our service to the lotus feet of Guru at the level of sadhana bhakti will attract the mercy of the Supreme Lord through the medium of Guru, and with that mercy we come to the platform of raga bhakti, and then we become completely attracted to Lord's lotus feet, and we have nothing to do with this material world. We become indifferent to this material existence, material misery, and all those things. And this kind of situation is not easily available for each and everyone. Who can have this? Only those who actually receive the causeless mercy of Lord's devotees, who actually by performing Ajna Sukriti, who get the association of devotees, they will only get Durapaye Alpatapasa Seva Vaikunta Vartmasu Yatropagiyate Nityam Deva Devo Janardana.
Persons whose austerity is meager can hardly obtain the service of the pure devotees who are progressing on the path back to the kingdom of Godhead, the Vaikunthas. Pure devotees engage 100% in glorifying the Supreme Lord, who is the Lord of the demigods and the controller of all living entities.
Yeah. If you remember Bhagavad Gita 7th chapter, I think there is one verse at the end of the chapter. Bhagavad Gita 7th chapter. What that is one verse talks about this only same concept. Durapayi alpatapasa. Those people who actually performed alpatapasya, small tapasya, it is very difficult for them to get shelter or the service opportunity at the lotus feet of the devotees of Supreme Lord, who are on the path back home back to Godhead, who are always engaged in Yatropagiyate Nityam, in the constant glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's activities and pastimes, etc. Deva Devo Janardana. Yeah, that verse. Esham tu antagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvandamoha nirmukta bhajate mam dudavrata. Same thing here it is mentioned. Durapayi alpatapasa seva vaikunta vartmasu. Actually, performing tapasya is not the reason for us getting shelter of devotees association, but actually getting the association of devotees is their causeless mercy only. But the via medium to accept their causeless mercy is our willingness to express that we are ready to go through tapasya. We are ready to serve the lotus feet of gurus without any conditions. Something like that we have to understand. So when we express our willingness to serve their lotus feet, we are actually kind of acting as attractors of their mercy. And by their causeless mercy, they are causelessly merciful towards everyone, and they come to us and they give their association to us. So this is my understanding, my dear Gurudev, like that. Vidura actually repeated whatever he understood to Maitreya. So this is where the discussion ends. And from the next verse onwards till the end of the chapter, Vidura asked so many questions, like Parishit Maharaj asked so many questions in the 2nd canto 8th chapter. So that we will see in the next class. So thank you very much. Quickly, devotees can have 2 minutes break. Then we'll start with our presentations. Stop recording.